onto the main account, go onto the main channel. There's the stream, it's currently loading. Got to give it some time. Hopefully it doesn't take too long to load up. There it is. Party audio is working. Game audio is working. The stream, we're all good to go. That's absolutely fantastic. Hello everyone and welcome to round 12 of the PlayStation America series here on Race Spec Esports. I'm Lane Everingham, your commentator for this event, and this time we're racing at Autodromo José Carlos Pache for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Opened in 1940 and has been hosting Formula One Grand Prix since 1972, Interlagos is widely regarded as one of the all-time greatest racetracks on the Formula One calendar. This circuit has an incredible natural ability to generate spectacular races, whether it be awesome side-by-side racing, insanely tight qualifying, drama and chaos on the racetrack, important strategy calls behind the safety car, or even changeable and unpredictable weather conditions. Interlagos can really do it all. To add on top of that, the modern-day 2.68 mile 15-turn racetrack features two DRS zones that lead into the prime overtaking spots of Turn 1 and Turn 4. But drivers can also try and pass into the hairpins of Turn 8 and Turn 11 in the middle sector. Drivers will need to make full use of those overtaking areas, as this will be a sprint race. Two races for the price of one, and there are plenty of points on offer here tonight. Now, before we focus on this qualifying session, there is a bit of news to go through first from last week's race in France. Not a single incident report from what I could find, so the final results stand from last week's race at Circuit Paul Ricard. In the Drivers' Championship, Mighty Wombat is leading the way on 231 points, followed by Axis in the Aston Martin on 206. 25 points separate the top two in the championship, and just 10 points behind them is Nico on 196, followed by JBH on 180. Those four are the realistic championship contenders at this point. Collider is 5th in the championship, but he's on 146 points, 115 behind the championship leader. So realistically at this point, it's looking like it's going to be either Wombat, Axis, Nico, or JBH who can contest for the title. Blockman in the Haas is P6 on 116, followed by KD 1997 on 105, then Underwood in the Ferrari on 83. Saucy is next on 74, followed by Rebellion, rounding out the top 10 on 66 points. In the Constructors, McLaren are leading on 336 as Captain Schmeg spins into a wall at the exit of Turn 1. Martin are P2 in the standings on 251 points. It's a pretty big gap between the top two. It's 85 points between McLaren and Aston here, and there's only one McLaren in the form of Mighty Wombat. KD is absent for today's race, so maybe Aston can strike back. Mercedes are next on 235, by Haas on 128, Williams on 140. On this qualifying session, ball 1 minute 8.563. That's beaten by Mighty Wombat at 1 minute 7.798. He's just beaten Saucy by 0.8 of a second as Hatch runs wide and spins into the wall at the exit of Turn 11, losing control on the outside of the hairpin corner. Couldn't gather it up and put it into the wall on the inside of the racetrack. Mighty Wombat, our championship leader, asserting himself at the top of the board. Hopefully that hasn't ended the stream. Just notice that prompt come up there. No, it's all good. Still running. Don't know why that prompt came up. Yeah, still running smoothly as Nico jumps to P2 with a 1 minute 8.394. He's currently 0.6 of a second behind Mighty Wombat as Underwood crosses the line, goes fourth quickest with an 8.493. Hatch trying to get out of the way of traffic. Very awkwardly, he's taking sweet time getting going. Black Baller making his way out of Turn 11. Doesn't appear that he's on a flying lap. He might be trying to recharge the batteries a little bit and have another go. Shizant making his way through the middle sector, coming out of Turn 9. Looks like Shizant is on a flying lap. He is using battery, making his way around turn 11 as Blacks retires in the pit lane. He will not set a lap in qualifying. He will start towards the back. Shizant makes his way around Junsao turn 13. Arguably the most important corner on the racetrack, because that corner will dictate how quickly you'll travel up the hill and around turns 14 and 15, the final two corners on the racetrack. Essentially, turn 13 will dictate how quickly you will travel throughout the final sector. JBH getting ready to set a flying lap. He'll make his way into turn 13. He'll switch on his battery shortly. There he goes. He'll head up the hill around turn 14 and around the final corner, turn 15. We're right on board with JBH. We'll give you a guided tour of this 2.68 mile racetrack. Up into the center S, hard on the brakes, down to fourth gear, down to third, down to second even, as he heads down the hill through turn 2. Cutting too much of turn 2, I'm afraid. Very easy to do at the exit of the center S. You're very much inclined to try and cut as much of the racetrack as you can. You can see there from JBH, he just cut that little bit too much. Black Baller has invalidated this lap as well, so he'll go back into the pits. Shizant, he's going back into the pits as well. So we've got a lot of drivers on in-laps. Axis just starting an out-lap. Oh, hello, Rebellion. Game glitched out and parked your car. Couldn't go anywhere. Interesting. You can hear cars, but you can't see them. Well, yeah, that's a bit nerve-wracking, if that's the case for you, Rebellion. Not sure what's going on there. But, at the moment, I can see, I can hear them. The audio could probably be a bit better. I might change the audio balance just a little bit. If I go to party settings and adjust the audio mix. There we are. Might be a bit nicer. A bit louder. Yeah, a little bit louder. Coming out of the final corner, we're right on board with Axis. Give you a guided tour of this racetrack that's hopefully a uninvalidated lap. Through the center S, turns 1 and 2, and into Curva de Sol, turn 3. Climbing up through the gears, taking a nice narrow line around the corner, he'll open DRS and head down the Reta Aposta into Descida do Lago, turns 4 and 5. He's currently up by a tenth and a half to the first sector, so a pretty solid improvement, I'd say, considering there's only 3 corners in the opening sector. Into Ferradura, turn 6 and 7, it's double right-hander, and into the tight hairpin of turn 8. Definitely a potential overtaking spot if you're willing to dive it down the inside. Exiting turn 9, into the little kink of turn 10, and into the hairpin of turn 11. Down to third gear, short shifting to fourth, and around the tricky turn 12. So easy to lose control of the car through here, but you can see Axis keeping it nice and steady. Oh, but I can't say the same at the exit of turn 13. Losing control and losing precious time as he heads around turns 14 and 15 to complete this flying lap. It's going to be a 1 minute 8.291. He improves by 4/10, but he should have improved by quite a bit more if it weren't for that small mistake at 13. Collider to the first sector is down, but not by much, by only 20 thousandths of a second. The Alpine driver is currently sitting P4 with a 1 minute 8.474. He's currently 7 thousandths of a second in front of this man, JBH, who's making his way around turns 6 and 7. It appears that he is on an in-lap. Collider, meanwhile, on a flying lap, making his way towards turn 11. This tight right-hand hairpin, as we saw with Lewis Hamilton a few years ago, you can dive it down the inside. It's very possible to make contact with the car you're trying to overtake and accidentally take them out of the race. Seen it on a few occasions in league races myself as a commentator. Around the final 2 corners and up towards the line goes SC Collider. What will the time say? It says it's done a 1 minute 8.206. That's P2 for now for Collider. He's currently on the front row. Meanwhile, Marty Wombat's up by 1/10 of a second to the first sector, making his way around turn 12 to complete the middle sector, and he's well and truly down, so he's not going to be improving on this flying lap. Nico, meanwhile, has improved to the first sector. He's up by 8 thousandths as he makes his way around turn 6 and turn 7, up towards turn 8, down to first gear, short shifting up to third, then back down to second gear, back up to fourth gear, fifth gear at the exit of turn 9, around turn 10 and into the hairpin of 11, down to first, back up to fourth on the exit of the hairpin, down the hill he'll go, through turn 12, what will the clock say? He's up by 4/10 of a second, he's looking at a high 7, well he was looking at a high 7, unfortunately what he's looking at now is an Alpine passing him whilst driving the wrong way. Nico making a mistake at the exit of Junsao, chucking it into the grass. He's got him going again, but he'll need to move back into pit lane, put on another set of tyres. Underwood, meanwhile, doing the same thing. He's moving back into the pits. Black Ball is down to the first sector. Shizant is making his way around the hairpin of turn 11 and down the hill and towards turn 12. Guitar Hero has invalidated this flying lap, so that won't count. Shizant, meanwhile, is well down to the middle sector, so he's not looking to improve either. Appears that Hash might be moving back into the pits. He is still pushing, but he is low on battery and does indeed move back into the pits as Guitar Hero driving interestingly at turn 9. Probably had a moment at turn 8 and he's trying to get himself pointed back in the right direction. Camera's like floating around. If you strap the camera to the tip of the front wing. Okay, interesting. Yeah, no, I haven't heard of that before. Then again, recently, back in Pacific Tier 1 last night, had a very weird occurrence where a safety car came out. It was making its way out of the pit lane exit, and the leader, who was GeForce Crichton, passed it about here. So it meant that the leaders had to do an extra lap before they could catch up to the safety car. And what the safety car naturally does, it would stop on the racetrack and wait for the leader. It actually stops about here on the run between turns 5 and 6. But the safety car didn't do that. Instead, it just continued to dawdle around the racetrack, just minding its own business, as JBH crashes out at the entry to turn 4. Oh, okay, don't know how you've done that, JBH. Whatever you did a pretty good job of it. Because you're now out of qualifying. Oh, you have cars again? That's good to hear. That's good to hear. DRS open for access as he begins a flying lap. But yeah, the safety car continued to dawdle around the racetrack. And then, for some reason, it just went back into the pits. Even though it didn't catch the leaders, they didn't do a proper sort of safety car period. It did one lap and it went straight back into the pits. And it meant that the top 3 were now about 20 or so seconds in front of the rest of the field, who were caught up behind the safety car. It was very strange. You're going to have to watch it. Back in Pacific Tier 1 here and Interlagos. Absolutely nuts. Down the hill and around turn 9 goes Axis. Currently sitting P4 with an 8.291. We know he can go a lot quicker. So long as he doesn't make a mistake at turn 13, he should go quite a bit faster. As Underwood makes a mistake, he destroys his front wing, and he's trapped on the curb. Reset the track, mate. You might as well. Otherwise, you're going to get yourself disqualified. Reset the track, mate. This is one of those occasions where I'm totally fine with resetting the track as Axis crosses the line and jumps to the top. 1 minute 7.772. He improves by 0.02 of a second. Well, he's gone going again. Thank goodness for that. Touch the grass trying to warm up your tyres, eh? Yeah, that'll do it. Especially on cold tyres, because they have next to no grip to begin with. When you touch grass with that, yeah, car doesn't like it too much. That's quite understandable. Unlucky, either way. Fortunately, you got a couple of races to try and redeem yourself. Try and make up a few extra places. Shizan will cross the line to begin a flying lap here, heading down into the centre as currently setting P9 with a 1 minute 8.910. Currently second slowest out of the drivers who have set times. And Shizan, well, he's done a thing a lot of us have done here at Interlagos. Invalidate at turn 2. Really, really easy to do. Just cutting that little bit too much, making your way through the right-hander. That's all it takes. Howdy, Bags. Cover is set to none according to the rules. Interesting. As Black Baller making his way around Curva de Sol and down the Retro-Aposta with DRS open. Clock says to the first sector he's up by 34 thousandths of a second. It's a nice little improvement, but you don't expect to gain too much time through the first sector. It's only 3 corners. It's a very simple sector. Where you are going to try and find time is here in the middle sector. There's plenty of technicality for a driver to deal with through here. Plenty of flowing corners, very tricky corners at that, where you have to be so careful with the accelerator as Guitar Hero jumps up to P8 with a 8.7. Meanwhile, Black Baller makes his way towards the middle sector split. He's up by almost 0.2 of a second. With that sort of improvement, he could challenge the top 7. He might be able to challenge Underwood as he heads around the final couple of corners. Turns 14 and 15 here on the Interlagos circuit. Up towards the line, and he stays P9. 1 minute 8.721. Can't pass Guitar Hero. He's missed out by 0.02 of a second. Saucy will begin a flying lap into turn 1, down to 3rd gear, back on the accelerator as he heads through turn 2 and around Curva de Sol turn 3. Now onto the Retro-Aposta with, I believe that was Black Baller getting out of the way there. Up towards the first sector split. Saucy's up by 59 thousandths to the first sector. Collider has invalidated this lap. He's going to try and have another go right at the death of qualifying. Wombat's found time to the first sector, but he ruins the flying lap, making a mistake at the exit of turn 4, spinning his car around and ending this qualifying session for the championship leader. He cannot challenge Axis for pole position, but can anyone else try and challenge the Aston Martin driver? Making his way down the hill towards the middle sector. Clock says he's down. He's made a mistake in the middle sector, and I don't think he'll be able to recover that sort of time in the final sector. Nico, meanwhile, has found a 10th to the first sector. Down the hill and towards the middle sector split. The clock says for Nico, he's up, and up by a fair chunk as well, by almost 0.4 of a second, but he needs to find a lot more time here in the final sector to try and challenge for pole. Around the final corner with a helpful toe from the Ferrari in front, crosses the line. It's P3 with an 8 flat. It is not enough for pole position. Axis, his session appears to be over. Underwood, meanwhile, is up by 0.2 to the middle sector, as I believe that was Captain Schmeg completing a flying lap. He's done an 8.4. It's an 8.2 from Underwood, P6 with that lap, just behind Saucy. But I do believe that's the end of qualifying, and it'll be Axis who will start from pole position. What could have been for Wombat if he put that lap together. He found a lot of time to the first sector, but as soon as he tackled turn 4, he lost control of the car, chucked it round 180 degrees and ruined his flying lap. But he shouldn't be too disheartened. He'll be starting from the front row. Just be waiting on Shizan to move himself into his pit box or retire from the session. And we'll have a look at the final results screen. Taking its sweet time. Look at this train. There we go. Chase cam here from Mighty Wombat. Use chase cam, Wombat. If you do, I didn't know though. But there we are. The end of qualifying here in Brazil. Axis has taken pole position by 25 thousandths of a second over Mighty Wombat in P2, with Nico in P3, Collider in 4th, followed by Saucy in 5th, and Underwood, Captain Schmeg, Shizant, JBH, Hash, Guitar Hero, and Black Baller. 2 drivers did not set lap times, those being Blacks and Rebellion. Blacks voluntarily retired. Rebellion got disqualified right at the beginning of the session. The 1 second separating those who set lap times, so decently close, which is fantastic to see, and something that you kind of expect to see here at this racetrack. It's a short lap, only 2.6 miles, 15 corners, so you expect qualifying to be close. On top of that, it's a well-known racetrack. Like, a lot of us have raced here quite a bit, so we all know how to go quickly around this famous racetrack, or at least decently quickly. Overcast conditions for the beginning of this sprint race, but no obvious signs of any wet weather just yet. If we are going to see it, it's going to be towards the mid-phase or towards the end of this sprint. Now, if we do see some wet weather conditions, it will definitely spice things up. But for now, it should be a nice, simple race. I do believe just about everybody will start on the medium compound tyre. I had made a prediction in the past where drivers could start on the soft tyres, try and do a race on those, but it appears it's a bit too long. Doing 12 laps on soft tyres is just a bit too long. Not going to rain? Oh, that's sad. Rain usually spices things up. But, hey, dry weather conditions it will allow drivers to try and send it a bit more. It gives them confidence to try and send it. When wet weather conditions come around, drivers tend to drive a lot more cautiously. And as a result, you don't see as much overtaking, usually. So no, dry weather conditions, not too bad at all. And yeah, everyone's on the medium time. What a surprise. So we don't need that graphic at all. It's going to be a straight up dogfight between all 14 drivers on the grid. And there goes Underwood. Oh, dearie me. Is that what you did, JBH, out of curiosity? Is that pretty similar? Because, yeah, if you did that, then, yeah, there you go. Explains a fair bit of what happens when you have cold tyres, trying to get them up to temperature, and you touch the grass with them. You lose control. You put it into the wall. That's exactly... There you go. I didn't get to see it, but I saw what Underwood did. And it gives me a nice sort of simulation of what could have happened to you. I have to say, the drivers are shuffling around the racetrack a bit more than I'd like. Hopefully it's just on my end. You can see them jittering around the racetrack. Hopefully there isn't too many problems. Yeah, really important, fellas. Get your tyres up to temperature and don't touch the grass. Very important. Thing is, that's something that we can learn from the events in qualifying. Yeah, people are jittering. Ah, you lied to me, Rebellion. We may see some rain late in the race. Interesting. So we might... Oh, Wombat, he's missed his grid slot. So he's been pushed back a little bit, which isn't ideal because he does have the inside line heading into turn 1. So if he can get a better start, he can try and challenge Axis into the center S. Rightio, everyone's lined up ready to race. Here we go. We got 10 red lights. And the sprint race is underway here at Interlagos. It's a nice start from Axis. He drives away from the field as we head into the center S. Side by side is Nico and Wombat as they head down the hill into turn 2 and around Curve of the Soul turn 3. The field's lagging about. Hopefully that is just on my end. Hopefully that isn't something that the drivers are experiencing as well. Down the Retro Aposta into turn 4. Nico trying to apply pressure, trying to find a way by if he can. Underwood behind in P4. We got a bit of shenanigans going on behind as we head up the hill, running wide. I think that was Black Baller in the Mercedes-Benz, using the runoff area on the outside of turn 5. Oh, Shizen runs wide at turn 8. He's currently battling Guitar Hero, who's trying to fight around the outside as we head up the hill around turn 10 and into the hairpin of turn 11. Oh, fairly controlled. Oh, as soon as I was saying that, Captain Schmeg spins out. He now goes to last position. And it's Axis who leads in the Aston Martin. Mighty Wombat in the McLaren is second, followed by Nico in third. Underwood fourth, followed by Saucy and JBH. Blacks has made up a ton of spots on the start. He's into P7. Collider's lost positions on the start. He's down to P8 with Rebellion P9 and Shizant running out to 10. Yellows are out. It's Hash spinning and JBH has... Hello. That was something. JBH spinning out at the exit of Curva de Sol, and he drops down to P12. Meanwhile, his teammates battling Guitar Hero through Descida do Lago. Heading out to turn 5 and up the hill towards turn 6. Guitar Hero won't be close enough to attack into the two right-handers. Wombat, a bit of work to do to try and catch up. He's within a second of Axis, which is critical. As Pacific Tier 1 demonstrated, DRS is quite powerful around here. It's quite noticeably powerful, so getting yourself within that 1 second range is going to be incredibly important. And that's something that Nico isn't doing. Yellows are out again. It's Captain Schmeg spinning out, this time at turn 4. Around the final two corners on the racetrack, you see Underwood in the Ferrari hovering behind as Wombat sets a new fastest lap at 1 minute 9.938. Through the... Oh! Underwood almost took out Nico there at turn 1. That was awfully close. But fortunately, nothing dramatic resulted from that. But I reckon Nico's heart might have leapt into his mouth when he saw that Ferrari get very close to his rear end. Around turn 4 and heading up the hill towards turn 6 and 7. Underwood trying to close in. Just jittering around just a little bit here. Hopefully it doesn't hang around.